Hello, I'm Curtis Wages, Patriotic Marine Corps vet. Today I've got a short little video for y'all to watch. I think every Christian man should be watching this, and especially every young Christian man. It open your eyes and make you think. So let's take a look, see what we got. Here we go.
Your professor calls the Crusades unprovoked Christian aggression. Hollywood depicts Crusaders as bloodthirsty zealots. The media says they were the medieval equivalent of terrorists. They're lying to you. By 1095, Islamic armies had conquered 2/3 of the Christian world. Jerusalem, Antioch, Alexandria, Christianity's holiest sites under the sword. Convert, pay the tax, or die. Those were your options. When Urban II called the First Crusade, it wasn't conquest, it was liberation. Christian knights didn't start a war. They finished one that had raged for 400 years. But here's what should terrify you. Look at London today, Paris, Stockholm. Churches closing, mosques rising. The same territories Crusaders bled to defend are surrendering without a single sword drawn. History is repeating. This time, we're inviting the conquest. Subscribe right now. This is the history they desperately don't want you to know. Here's what's actually happening. The same pattern that triggered the Crusades is unfolding again. Demographic replacement, religious conquest, civilizational collapse. Except this time, we've been programmed to celebrate it. Sweden, where Viking warriors once made empires tremble, now is no-go zones where police won't even enter. France, home of Charles Martel, who stopped Islamic expansion at Tours, watches Notre Dame burn while authorities investigate. England, Richard the Lionheart's homeland, arrests citizens for Facebook posts while grooming gangs operate freely. The Crusaders understood something we've forgotten. When civilizations abandon God, they don't become neutral. They become conquered. Let me destroy every lie you've been taught about the Crusades with historical facts they don't want you to know. From 632 to 1095 AD, Islamic armies conquered Christian lands from Spain to India. They took Syria, 634, Jerusalem, 638, Egypt, 639, North Africa, 698, and Spain, 711. 2/3 of Christendom gone. In conquered lands, Christians faced the triple choice: convert, submit and pay crushing taxes, or die. Then came the Seljuk Turks. They didn't just conquer, they butchered. Christian pilgrims were tortured, robbed, and murdered on the roads to Jerusalem. Byzantine Emperor Alexios sent desperate letters west. They destroy our altars after defiling them with their uncleanness. They circumcise Christians, and the blood from the circumcision they pour on the altars or throw into the baptismal font. Pope Urban II's response launched the First Crusade with 2 words: Deus vult, God wills it. Here's what your professor hides. The Crusaders weren't conquerors, they were liberators. Godfrey of Bouillon, the first ruler of Jerusalem, sold everything he owned to go fight. He refused the title king, saying no man should wear a crown of gold where Christ wore thorns. Raymond of Toulouse spent 400,000 silver marks, his entire fortune, to fund the crusade. These weren't treasure hunters. They were men who understood that some things matter more than life. The Crusades worked. They broke Islamic expansion for 200 years. Without them, there's no Renaissance, no Reformation, no scientific revolution. The University of Paris becomes a madrasa. Aquinas never writes. Dante never poets. Western civilization ends in the 11th century. Blessed be the Lord my rock, who trains my hands for war and my fingers for battle. Psalm 144, verse 1. Every Crusader knight prayed this before battle. They knew what modern Christians deny. Sometimes love requires a sword. But we've been taught to be ashamed of men who saved our civilization. And now, having forgot what they fought for, we're losing it without firing a single shot. Want to know why Europe crumbles while their ancestors conquered? One word: apostasy. Medieval Europe's strength came from one source: faith. When Godfrey of Bouillon took Jerusalem, his first act was prayer. When Richard the Lionheart faced Saladin, he carried the cross into battle. Those men didn't fight for ethnicity or economics. They fought for Christ. Modern Europe abandoned God and got exactly what Deuteronomy 28 promises apostate nations. The foreigner who lives among you will rise above you higher and higher, while you sink lower and lower. Verse 43. Look at the pattern. France, 65% Christian in 1970, 25% today. The result? Hundreds of churches converted to mosques, entire neighborhoods under Sharia, teachers beheaded for showing cartoons. UK closes 50 churches yearly while opening 423 mosques. London elected a Muslim mayor who calls moderate Muslims Uncle Toms. Germany cancels Christmas markets for cultural sensitivity while migrants assault women on New Year's Eve. And what's the Christian response? Turn the other cheek, they say. Jesus was a pacifist, they claim. Let me expose this lie that's destroying the West. Here's the truth about modern Christian pacifists. They preach peace from behind walls built by warriors and maintained by police. Every pacifist is a parasite on the violence of better men. They condemn the sword while sleeping under its protection. They call 911 when threatened, summoning men with guns to do the violence on their behalf. They demand military protection, then claim moral superiority over the soldiers who pull the triggers they voted to load. They're not anti-violence. They're anti-getting their hands dirty. They want the benefits of force without the moral weight of wielding it. That's not righteousness. That's delegated violence dressed up as virtue. Every Crusader knight knew he'd answer to God for every blow struck and every blow withheld. He carried the moral weight of necessary violence. Modern pacifists, they subcontract their killing and call it Christianity. Jesus said, "But now, if you have a purse, take it, and also a bag. And if you don't have a sword, sell your cloak and buy one." Luke 22:36. The same Christ who died for enemies commanded his followers to arm themselves against them. Europe's problem isn't immigration, it's apostasy. When you abandon the God who commanded strength, you become weak. When you mock the faith that built your civilization, it crumbles. The barbarians don't break down the gates. Apostates open them. You're not called to retake Jerusalem, but you are called to defend Christendom. And here's your battlefield on 3 fronts. The demographic crusade. When you pursued comfort, others pursued children. Muslim families average 3.1 children globally. Western Christians, 1.5. They're conquering through cribs while you're conquering Netflix queues. So get married, have children, raise warriors. The future belongs to those who show up for it. Every Christian child you raise is a soldier in the spiritual battle. Every family you don't create is territory surrendered. The cultural crusade. They took your entertainment, education, and institutions without firing a shot. Take them back. Run for school board. Curriculums are battlefields. Create content. Stories shape souls. Build businesses. Economic power funds kingdom work. When crusaders took cities, the first thing they did was restore churches. So you restore truth in every sphere you enter. The spiritual crusade. The real battle is spiritual. Islam advances because it offers certainty to uncertain men. Secular liberalism offers nothing but comfort and death. Only robust Christianity can defeat both. Join a church that preaches hard truth. If your pastor won't name evil, find one who will. Start men's groups that forge warriors, not wimps. Read church history. Know what your ancestors bled for. You probably won't die in battle, but you must live ready to. That readiness, physical, mental, spiritual, is what separates sheep from sheepdogs. A man closes his laptop, disgusted by the lies and degeneracy. He studies real history, honors his ancestors, sees the patterns repeating. He stops apologizing for Christian strength and starts building it. He marries young, has many children, teaches them the old ways. He builds wealth, not for comfort, but for kingdom impact. He trains in combat, not for ego, but for protection. He enters politics, not for power, but for righteousness. Other men see his clarity and catch his courage. They remember what they're fighting for. A brotherhood forms, not of LARPers playing night, but of men who understand the stakes. Who will rise up for me against the wicked? Who will take a stand for me against evildoers? Psalm 94:16. The Crusaders answered with their lives. How will you answer? Deus Vult means God wills it. What does God will of you?
All right. Pretty good video, if I say so. The question is what do you do? Your choice.